Today's episode is sponsored by Amy Barrickman, founder of Indigo Junction. IndigoJunction.com is your source for books and patterns in both print and PDF format. Indigo Junction produces designs for home and fashion, as well as an extensive selection of apparel patterns, including their popular modern Indigo Essentials line. Be sure to visit Indigo Junction's blog for fabric and notions giveaways celebrating National Sewing Month. Sign up for Indigo Junction's newsletter to receive a 20% off coupon code. And now, here's the show. Welcome to episode 129 of the While She Naps podcast. I'm Abby Glassenberg. Today, we're talking about building a handmade clothing brand with my guest, Courtney Chu. Courtney was trained as an industrial designer and worked as a children's fashion designer. She's obsessed with transforming and saving clothing from landfills through children's and pet clothing that she makes. Currently, she's creating memorable and lasting pieces that enhance any adventure through her brand, Courtney Courtney. Courtney Chu, welcome.
Hello.
Hi. I'm so excited to have you on the show, and I have admired and bought Courtney Courtney dresses for my own daughters for many, many years. And so when I reached out to you over the summer and asked if you'd be on the podcast, I was just so excited when you said yes. So I can't wait to talk to you. And you haven't done a ton of interviews, so I'm super excited to hear about your brand and the business that you've built, because it is really cool.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I guess one of the positives that I remembered your name was because, you know, I was able to sell directly online. So I know every customer, and, you know, they've sent me photos of their children wearing my pieces. So yeah, I feel a good connection there.
Totally. Oh my gosh. It's really neat. Your business is super cool. So I get the feeling just from watching you that you are probably somebody who's been a pretty creative person throughout your entire life. You just seem like someone who really exudes creativity. So I wondered if you could start by telling us a little bit about where you grew up and what you were like as a kid.
For some reason, when I look back, I don't seem to remember much before age 13. I don't think anything traumatic happened. I don't know why. I forget memories. But I find that I kind of just like to keep busy and always have things to do. And I'm very skeptical, and I like to, you know, gather things and like have crafts and, you know, play shop and, I don't know, dress dolls and not play with them in dollhouses or anything, but, you know, just kind of set scenes.
Were you interested in dressing yourself?
My mom shopped a lot at Benetton, so I was a Benetton kid. So I had a lot of crazy colors and, you know, bold 80s styles. But then later on, I was afraid of attention, so I switched fully to, I think, gray and black mostly.
So you were
But that probably was high school.
Right. Okay. So were you pretty shy in high school?
Yeah, I would say so. Kind of kept to myself, although it somehow received most creative superlatives. So,
okay, so you were still recognized as being creative, even though you were kind of a wallflower.
I guess that seems a little strange, but maybe it was through my artwork, or I guess whatever I created.
Okay, and
in art class.
And where was this? Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Midlothian, Virginia, which is a suburb outside Richmond. Pretty much just trees and houses. Pretty simple.
Okay, kind of
childhood.
Kind of suburban.
Mm-hmm.
And what did your parents do for work?
My father was a mental health state hospital administrator, and my mother is a biochemist.
Oh, wow. Okay. And were they creative, or did they teach you how to sew or paint or do that sort of thing?
My mom used to cross stitch. And then I think she kind of just got sick of it or stopped doing that so much. Now she knits a lot. My father, I have a theory that he is actually very creative, but never really explored it through art or other media.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And were you...
Because
he was busy with work and...
No, he still sends me ideas of things that he wants to make. But
oh, really?
Yes.
So what kinds of things?
For some reason, he's been fixed on this saddlebag that goes over a bicycle seat for years.
So he's like sending you prototypes?
Like storage. Yeah, storage ideas, pockets on vests. He wants to add, pockets to clothing for storage and security.
Uh-huh. That's funny.
Yeah.
So were you an only child or did you have siblings?
I have an older brother and he is about 4 years older than me.
Is he in a creative field?
No.
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 Okay.
I think I was pretty much the only artsy one.
And so you went off to Carnegie Mellon to major in industrial design. And can you just explain a little bit, like, what is industrial design? Because it's a pretty unusual major. I'm sure some people are like, what is that?
Right. I guess most simply you would say product design. However, now product has become a whole, tech term instead. So it'd be anything physical that, furniture, cars, tabletop, anything that you can, give a ergonomic or visual design to.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So putting pockets in things like your dad.
Right. Can I add more storage?
Sorry, just suggesting. Okay. Right. Cool. So that's a pretty neat major. And Carnegie Mellon definitely seems like the right college to go to for that. Yeah, that seems like a specialty that they would offer. So I'm wondering what you were thinking at that time, like your career path might be, because I can't imagine it was what Courtney Courtney became. I mean, maybe it was, but what were you thinking you might be doing?
Actually, if we go back a little bit to me being a skeptical kid, I also didn't really research the actual routes that you take when you enter school of design at Carnegie Mellon. So at that time, after freshman year, you decide whether you want to go into graphic design or industrial design. So I didn't even know that was even a choice I had to make. And at that point, I didn't want to make websites and, letterheads and things like that. And so I chose industrial design.
So you chose it sort of just by default because you just didn't want to be a graphic designer, but not necessarily because you really wanted to be an industrial designer.
Yeah. It was the better choice, and I really do love being hands-on.
Okay, right.
So
and it was sort of less
that was the best choice.
Right. It was sort of less flat and more three-dimensional.
Yeah, I knew I wouldn't have to be sitting at a computer all day.
Okay. All right. So you sort of fell into it in a way, but without necessarily a long-term plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've never had a long-term plan.
You were just sort of there, kind of kind of going through, doing it. Okay, cool.
I just wanted to make things.
Right. All right. So after you graduated, you took a job that brought you to Chicago. What were you doing? Mm-hmm. What was that job?
I was designing products for our children's accessories.
Okay.
Sorry, a children's accessories company. So it was a lot of, Photoshop, Illustrator. Designing and coming up with color schemes, themes, and everything was made overseas.
Okay, so were they like hair accessories, that kind of thing?
More like wearable, so umbrellas, rainwear, rain boots, knitwear.
Okay, and you were designing them, and then they would be prototyped and then manufactured overseas.
Right.
Okay, cool.
It's all wholesale.
Yeah, so was that an interesting job? Like, did you enjoy doing that?
Yeah, it was really fun to, my favorite would be just coming up with ideas and coming up drawings and themes and trying to, reach who their customer would be, distinguishing at that point boys and girls and, trying to introduce, new ideas to the company.
Okay. And was it then like that you started doing kind of thrifting and refashioning on the side into what sort of became Courtney Courtney, or do I have that timeline right?
I actually started working on Courtney Courtney probably a little before college and then towards the end of college.
Oh, wow. So it's really been all along in a way.
Mm-hmm. So in high school, it wasn't really a popular choice to go away during the summer. And I guess some people went to summer camps, but I had somehow learned of pre-college and I saw one at RISD. And so I did a summer program for textile design there and I loved it. So that's where I learned how to silk screen. But then I had all this fabric that I printed. And so at some point, maybe during college, a little before college, my mom allowed me to get a sewing machine. And so I began practicing and, sewing with that. Then I began actually just trying on T-shirts. And then I just kind of went nuts. And, I just found that I really enjoyed it, T-shirt fabric.
Okay. So were you thrifting that fabric?
Yes. So I started then thrifting and, kind of limited to, what I found. And, I keep playing with, the stretchiness and the textures and with how the T-shirt cotton behaves.
Okay. So you were thrifting and that you had the silk screening experience from RISD, but you weren't, were you silk screening at home?
No, not at that point.
Okay.
That probably did come in later when I was working for his company and, in my apartment at night, I would silk screen on the floor.
Okay. And were you making dresses for girls or were you just making like shirts for yourself?
Yeah. So it was first for myself. So I guess the women's size. I went in on a little timeline. So I would actually make clothes for, my college friends. I remember nights where everyone would be dressed in my dresses and it was kind of embarrassing. And then I stopped in pets for a little bit and then I started doing kids more because just the nature of upcycling, you're going to be cutting down from adult size clothing. So I just started moving into kids because the proportions looked great and, the variety of the fabrics kind of turned into these really nice pieces. So then I just kind of pushed into kids.
This would have been closer to after graduation and when you were working, when the kids sort of, it focused in on kids.
Right. I would say senior year when I started, applying for jobs or looking for jobs, then, I was like, oh, I really love, children's fashion design. And so that's probably where I did start looking for jobs.
In that field, right. that makes sense. Okay. And were you selling this stuff? I mean, so I love that story of all your friends wearing your
Some of them still have them.
I bet.
One of them actually put them on recently.
It's like vintage.
Yes.
Yeah, vintage Courtney. So that's really funny. Were you selling these at like craft fairs or were you just giving them away?
Yeah, I guess I would once in a while do a fair or, some like schools would have shows and you could be a part of it. I think I would even try to put them in stores sometimes, but I'm not a good salesperson. So it wasn't very easy and plus it's not that fun to, take something in and say, oh, this will sell if we sell it, or, you'll make money if we sell this, and then have to go pick it up and that whole route. So I think eventually I did start to move online. I think online shopping started picking up a little bit more at that point.
Right. That was the sort of easier route.
Yeah, I think Etsy, I had actually started in my store maybe in 2004.
So Etsy launched
perfectly.
Yeah, Etsy launched 2005, like in the summer. So maybe you were one of the earlier Etsy shops.
I think so.
Okay.
I remember sitting at my parents' kitchen table after moving home, and I think I'd opened the store there.
Okay. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. I opened an early Etsy shop as well. So Etsy at that time, it really was like the answer to a prayer, it was like, wow, great. This is exactly what I need, because e-commerce was so hard then.
Right. I don't really know how I had heard about it. I probably through Carnegie Mellon crowd, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you started selling online and you were still working your day job. Okay. and silk screening on the floor
Yes.
of your apartment.
Washing screens in the bathtub. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And did there come like a tipping point? I mean, this is your full-time job now?
I left that one maybe 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
Okay.
I've lost track. There was a tipping point where I remember asking my boss, do you think I could not work on Fridays? I totally forgot about this until recently. And she thought I was going to quit. And so she allowed me to do that. So that really, gave me a lot more time.
Okay. So was that like a few years?
Nice.
Was that like a few years into your job?
Probably like halfway in.
Okay. All right. And then you had Fridays off to work on Courtney Courtney.
Mm-hmm. Fridays, evenings, all weekend.
And how did you settle
mornings.
How did you settle on that name, Courtney Courtney?
I've been using it since I believe it was AOL Instant Messenger allowed you to have 16 characters. And so Courtney Courtney just fit perfectly.
And so you're like, just stuck
I just kept it. Yeah.
That's funny. Okay. Yeah. So that just stuck. All right. And I wonder if you could describe for people who haven't seen what your dresses look like. And obviously it's not just dresses, it's also shirts and ponchos and, dog coats and cat sweaters and, a bunch of other things as well. But if you can kind of just give people a general description of kind of what they look like so they understand what it looks like, that'd be great.
Well, each piece is unique. So I tend to work in themes. So, say I did print, like recently I just printed a bunch of maple leaves. And so you'll see that print kind of carried throughout. I try to cater to what styles little girls might like. However, their opinions are really varied lately. So some will only wear twirly dresses. Some do not want to wear those anymore. So it's just tops. Bright colors. I love stripes. I love, some fringe, but kind of more of a clean but colorful, all in one piece that can grow with the child. So, it might be a dress first and then a tunic. And then some of them are still wearing them as tops with shorts. And it's really kind of amazing to see them like change in the same piece.
Right. Because they're knit, so they stretch, so they can kind of grow with it.
Yes, I love knits. And I love cotton. I'm finding it harder to find good cottons, which kind of worries me.
And basically,
just because
you're like going to the thrift store, you're buying T-shirts, and also kind of like rugby shirts.
Right. Any sort of, I have different purposes. So, so for like sleeves, they need to be stretchy. The bodies can be a little more rigid. You want some weight at the bottom of the dress. The collars are a whole different, type of need.
And
yeah.
And you're looking for interesting prints. They can be bold, florals, stripes, as you said. You also
I love
tie-dye, and sometimes things with like, with words on them.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, people always seem to gravitate towards graphic tees, and then some people really don't like them. But I'll kind of vary it up.
And then you're mixing and matching. So the sleeves might have stripes, and then the bodice of the dress has a totally different print, and then the waist, a third color. And then the skirt is made up of, 3 or 4 different stripes, kind of, mixed and matched. So you end up with a dress that's really bright and colorful and just sort of very one of a kind and doesn't look like anything you've ever seen before.
I hope so. I still say I think every color goes together, or I make it. So oftentimes when I'm looking at a piece, I try to, kind of tie everything back in to make it work. But then I spend a lot of time just sifting through piles, looking for that one color or print.
I want to take a minute now to talk with our sponsor, Indigo Junction, and the founder of Indigo Junction, Amy Barrickman.
Amy Barrickman at Indigo Junction.
Can you tell me a little bit about what's new on the Indigo Junction blog?
Well, we have a whole month of giveaways in celebration of National Sewing Month. We're doing fabric and notions, and as well as, of course, Indigo Junction patterns.
What kind of cool things are you giving away?
This week, we actually have a fun collection of Riley Blake fabric from the blogger CK Sew. And we have some notions and tools from Dritz. And then the winner gets to pick 3 patterns of their choice from Indigo Junction. So also on the blog, we're sharing information about the different fabrics that we're featuring in the giveaways. So there's some education, inspiration, and lots of good information when people visit the blog. It's at indigojunction.com. And I will also mention we have a really active and inspiring sewing community on our Indigo Junction Sewing Pattern Facebook group. And that group also has giveaways each week this month. So we have a lot of fun things going on to celebrate National Sewing Month.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
People sharing their makes and exchanging information on experiences with our patterns. And so it's really a great community to get involved in if you enjoy garment sewing. We also share some of our Fabriflare projects and, a little bit of everything, but there's a good amount of fashion apparel sewing that's discussed. So if people are interested in that group's a good one to join.
And there's giveaways going on in there too.
Yes. Each week we have a giveaway of the same fabric company that we are featuring on the blog. So next week we have Moda, and the last week in September we have Art Gallery. So
Ooh.
Yeah, some great fabrics.
That's nice. Okay. So good incentive to get involved in the Indigo Junction Facebook group. Well, Amy, that sounds really great. And celebration of National Sewing Month, which is the whole month of September. So lots of ways to have fun, get involved, and learn more. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Abby.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Indigo Junction. And now back to my conversation with Courtney. And it's amazing to see the refashions on your website. You have, you'll take what looks like maybe a men's extra large rugby shirt or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then you'll make, you said you work in batches. You'll make 6 girls' dresses from that shirt.
Yeah, I like to, if I can do the before and after and show all the, different pieces I made from the one print. It's kind of fun to look back. And then, I'll hear from someone like, oh, we have a dress with that print. It's kind of fun to think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And sometimes too, the shirt, there was one where the shirt it's really ugly. It's just not a fashionable shirt. It's red women's t-shirt, and it's got these 6 sunflowers on the front.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, it's just not a stylish t-shirt,
what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's oh gosh, where,
But it's very exciting to find those.
Yeah, and you're just this is a really kind of, I don't know, worn looking shirt. But you will take it and cut it and make, a really on trend, awesome looking set of girls' dresses from that with the sunflowers. It's an amazing transformation. And it, took that women's t-shirt out of the landfill and just transformed it. It's
right.
Yeah. And then also, how important is the screen printing? Because another piece of this too is that you're putting these images overlaid on top.
I guess that I think you do find a lot of solid colors. So, it just gives it an extra dimension. Plus it's, a little extra Courtney. Yeah, I go in phases where I do love printing, and then sometimes I just don't feel like it.
And how do you keep all of your thrifted shirts organized? I imagine, do you have a system? What does it look like?
I will have to include a photo for you.
Please do.
It is crazy.
What does it look like in
I
your
have
studio?
stacks
Okay.
everywhere. I have 3 bookshelves filled with just stacks. And then underneath my table, which I was trying to avoid doing that, but I have sleeves. When I work, I'll cut a shirt apart a certain way. So there's just, a whole bin of sleeves, little pieces. And now that I'm doing more pets clothing, so I know the little pieces are going to be good for, what, a dog sleeve or collar or something like that. So there, and then I used to go by color, but now I think I go a little bit more by function. So the weight of the fabric, the stretch. Yeah, and every once in a while, just because I start yanking things out, I have to sit down and reorganize each stack. But then it's helpful. I discover, things I forgot about.
Mm-hmm. How often are you going thrifting now?
I probably do go more in the summer just because I'm terrified of being shocked. And that happens in the winter here a lot at the thrift store. So maybe at least once or twice a month.
Okay.
Also, my parents help me. So my father knows which thrift stores have like half off days. So, and they're retired. So he will drive around and thrift for me. And my mom and him will wash, and they roll them up and send them over.
Oh, that's nice.
In boxes. So when I said the UPS guy might buzz, that should be a box from them.
Yeah, you were saying before we started recording, the UPS guy might buzz. So the buzz might be a box of washed and thrifted shirts from them. So that is nice. And so you're thrifting once or twice a month, and then they're thrifting once or twice a month as well.
No, he goes very often. I think they have their own stash in the garage.
Wow. Nice.
Overflowing. And it's actually kind of funny. He wants me to be very specific in what I want, which is great. Because I'd hate to receive something that I couldn't use and have to donate. But I told him I wanted at least 60% cotton. So we have we have guidelines.
Okay, so he will look at the labels before he buys.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay, that's interesting. And so they take it all home and wash it for you. So they must be really proud of the business.
I hope so. I think they always said they didn't really have to worry about me, but I think sometimes they do, especially now that I'm just doing this full time.
Yeah, because that's a real leap of faith, to say, well, I'm going to thrift and cut up these T-shirts and screen print some of them and then sew them back together and sell them online. And that's going to support
photograph
me.
them and hope.
Right. Yeah.
Hope it's your size.
Yeah. But they must be, they're supportive and proud of the business that you've built. And it's really a beautiful phenomenon. So I can see why, but,
thank you.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about the business itself now that people have a little bit of an understanding of sort of what it actually physically is, but sort of the business stage. So one of the things I think I want to talk about is marketing and first maybe the mailing list.
Okay.
So in the beginning, when I first found you, I would see a dress and I would be like, darn, it's gone. And I couldn't figure out like why it was gone. And then I think I realized that it might have been because I wasn't on your mailing list. I'm not sure, but I think that might have been why. So can you talk a little bit about that, about sort of how you handle that and the importance of your mailing list?
First, I did start on Etsy, and then I had a few big, discoveries, and so then items would sell out almost as soon as I posted them. So I moved to my big cartel store, and they kept kind of selling out. And so I decided I would switch and instead of just listing item by item, have an email that would go out to whatever sizes people sign up for. And they could shop, directly from the email, and the first person to buy it, that would be it, and everybody would have the same chance to shop. And also I was, thinking, who's going to be on Facebook, all the time just waiting for dresses to come up. So it seemed like the fairest way to, reach people so that they could get their size quickly.
Okay. And so did that work well?
Yeah, they would sell out pretty well. Over time, I mean, now at the point where obviously a lot of the girls have outgrown my sizes, it started to slow a little bit. And then now with Instagram, I mean, people just, if they see a dress, they just want to buy it immediately. So I've kind of switched into, I don't want to share something and it not be available. I would spend a lot of time, saying this is coming, or like, this is in the next email, or like, get ready. So it's changed a bit. So I try to have everything ready to shop in the store now.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
But I still try to send out emails. They're probably not as often as they were, but probably once a week.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. And can you tell us about some of those big, you had mentioned that there were a couple of big wins in the beginning that sort of helped you get popular. What were some of those? Were they like big press mentions or something?
Yeah. One of them was Cool Mom Pics, who has still been featuring my work, which has been great. One was Deuce, which I'm not a mom, so I don't follow mom bloggers so much, but that one seemed to be a large push. And I actually was, when Etsy had their homepage, a featured seller, which was also a big, burst of new customers.
Yeah. Okay. So between those sort of three mentions that helped a lot to build it. Yeah, for sure. And And so, I think that was the reason why I wasn't able to get those dresses in the beginning. And I couldn't figure it out. I was like, how come they're gone before? So it was the mailing list. And then I've also noticed that you do a really good job of featuring customer photos. So customer photos just seem to play a really important role in your business and on your Instagram, on your blog, on your website itself. You have all of these photos of girls wearing Courtney dresses all over the place in Abu Dhabi, and all over the world, all different types of girls, all different, looks. Doing all different things, and boats all over the place. And they're just so beautiful. I mean, it's beautifully shot photos. And, it's almost to me like, it almost serves as like a catalog shot, and because your work is, each piece is one of a kind, so it can't be replicated. And so in that way, it doesn't really make sense to have a catalog, because it's like, you can't order that one again.
Right.
But yeah, you have all these beautiful photos. So I just wanted to hear a little bit more about those and how you get them and how you get permission to use them and how you started featuring them and all of that.
I think somewhere along the way, then I had gotten in touch with a lot of the professional mom photographers, like groups. And so, a lot of them actually are professional photographers taking the photos who happen to be moms. But some of the, people have gotten really good at, taking just phone shots. And, they're happy to share. I always ask, of course, if I can share the photos. Yeah, they're really impressive. And, around the world on their travels. And I'm really happy to share what they've shared with me.
And so they're just sharing them with you voluntarily. Like, are they using the Courtney hashtag, or how is this happening?
They usually will share it or email me, and then I'll contact them. And then sometimes we just have a good fit. And so, namely, I think the one you mentioned with Abu Dhabi is the photographer Kirsty. So we've actually met when she came to Chicago with her girls, but they travel the world. And, I'll just send them dresses, probably bundles. And especially now, since the girls are getting bigger, I'm trying to get more and more to them before they outgrow them. It's such a treat to see them being worn, on a train in India, or, they were just in Oaxaca and, swimming in cenotes. And it was so neat to see it and be, taken along in this journey.
Yeah. So just because you guys have a nice friendship, and so
right.
Yeah.
I can always, for some reason, you can tell when you have a good, it's going to click, and she's someone who values, earth friendly pieces greatly. So that's also a big draw.
Right. Totally. Yeah. And I just think for anybody who is hoping to cultivate those kinds of friendships and also just that kind of community among customers who will send you photos like that, I just really recommend checking out the way that you've done that, because it really is admirable and beautiful to see just people all over the place with their daughters in your dresses, and their dogs too.
Yeah,
adorable dogs. Yeah,
it's been a little tough to meet new moms with younger daughters to start wearing the dresses again. But a lot of the families seem to have dogs now, so some of them have said that's why they've gotten dogs, so they can continue wearing Courtney Courtney.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and people are, since I ask everyone if I have permission to share their photos, obviously people are very willing to let you share photos of their pets.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
And they have their own accounts, so it's pretty fun.
Yeah, and there's so many. I was just thinking, there's so many dogs with their own Instagram accounts.
Yep.
And pet owners tend to want to buy things for their pets too. It's a whole different market,
Right. I've discovered, more young people like me probably, may not have children. So these are their children. And also I have another wave of grandmas or, empty nesters who have their new babies to dress. So
right.
It's
yeah,
it's been interesting.
Totally.
To relaunch pets and see like the parallels
between
having the children's clothes
and having pets. And have you thought about doing lines for adults, or is that not at all on the table?
I get that question very often, but as I mentioned, since I'm upcycling, it is harder to increase the size of the found clothing. So they're going to be very PC, or the proportions just don't look as great to me. I have to really be in the mood to work with, larger swatches of fabric.
That makes sense.
Once in a while I do. Of course I make things for myself, but also women are very particular about their bodies and, what undergarments they need to wear and, what features they want to hide or enhance. So it becomes a bit tricky.
Yeah, dressing kids it's got that simplicity for sure. And do people send you special garments, like special T-shirts, their favorite T-shirt from college or whatever, and want you to use it to make, because it's worn out, to make dresses for their kids and that kind of thing? Is that something that you do?
I try not to. I'm kind of picky about what pieces I make, but if they are someone who have actually, owned my work before, then we can definitely do that, because, they know what to expect and they know how it's going to fit and, what styles they want. Because I don't feel comfortable cutting into someone's sentimental T-shirts.
Okay. Unless,
unless they kind of have knowledge of, what to expect.
They have like a pre-existing relationship with you or something like that.
Yeah, you got to do a little work on your end.
Okay. But you will do it on some occasions.
Yes.
And
I love like a special project if has a really a good possibility of being a great outcome. So those ideas are always entertained.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. I also think you do screen printing. Like I think they're screen printed. They're like a big number. So
those are all found.
Oh, they're all found.
All the sports like
right,
sports. Yeah, so they're just taken from.
They're like the back, the number on the back, and then you're just putting it on the front of a dress. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So I've bought many of those as special birthday dresses for my kids for their birthdays, like the number 5.
You had a 5.
Yeah. I have 3 girls and all of them wore the same 5 dress for their 5th birthday.
I remember like the first photo and you said she was very shy.
Yeah. Totally. I love those. And it just makes such a perfect birthday dress because it's got the number like right on the front. So, yeah, those are great.
We have some kids who have started. Yeah, they'll go all the way through. I love to put those together, the consecutive birthdays.
Yeah, those are great. And then you've also done some really cool collaborations. So I want to make sure we talk about those. And one of them was with Bamboletta Dolls. And I've actually had Christina Platt.
I saw that.
From Bamboletta on the podcast. So people can go back. It's actually many episodes back. I forget which one it was, but it's a while back. And listen to the story of those dolls. But you made Courtney dresses for Bamboletta Dolls, which was really neat. And I wondered if you could talk about how that came to be.
I think at that point, that was when I list items on Facebook and they would just be snapped up immediately. I think I was in like a kind of a community where, she has always been good about, Christine has always been very good about, collaborating with artists to provide clothing for her dolls. So I believe we just kind of, worked out, let's make a few pieces and, list them when she was listing the dolls.
Mm-hmm.
And so she sent me a doll, so I could, do my sizing and style it up and create my pattern.
How did it go?
Oh, it was great. It was fun.
Yeah.
I would actually kind of equate it to my pet's clothing now because, I was able to use all those little pieces of prints that I'd saved, and it was kind of like a, more dramatic, small dress.
Yeah. And I think it's fun it's to do some co-marketing with another maker because, you both are appealing to a kid's market, or I guess the market is really moms and dads and grandparents, people who are buying for kids. So it's really the same audience of buyers in a way, but it's also somewhat different, so.
Also our customer, I think, overlapped a lot. The people who enjoy natural, products and, sentimental gifts.
And are willing to pay for something handmade.
Right. That has become a big issue, I would say, is, how much do people want to pay for, something one of a kind and, it's spent a lot of time making.
Right. Because Bamboletta dolls are quite expensive. And how much is an average Courtney dress?
I'd say around now it's between maybe 50 and 65.
Which I don't think is that expensive if you're going to be buying one from like a Bowden dress is about that much.
Right. Yeah. I know. I sometimes will look around. I have been a little in a bubble lately of looking at, what else is out there. But I looked recently and I was like, what? I need to probably raise my prices. I kind of slowed them a little bit because, I want, more people to have them.
But do you still do you still bump up against people who bulk at that price?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I get a lot of emails. Are you gonna have a sale soon? Or which is very flattering. Right. Yeah. Do you have any first time buyer
discounts? Right.
Which I say no to everything. But,
yeah. And how do you respond to that sort of thing? Because I know, you've been in business for a long time, so you've got, I'm sure, a pretty thick skin, but it can be hard for people who are sort of just breaking in to a handmade market, when people ask those kinds of questions and they bulk at the price point, and you've thought to yourself, my gosh, this is low for what I'm offering.
Yeah. It's, I don't count myself being as a good person in customer service at all. So I sometimes don't reply, which is really bad. I don't reply a lot of time, but I mean, I do have times throughout the year. So like Earth Day or, that whole month that we'll have specials.
So you just sort of,
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. But there are times where you can, get
a deal,
something on sale.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, when I look back at it, I'm like, I spent how much, of my time and, collecting and working on this, that it feels bad to let it go for less.
Yeah. Exactly. Because I don't know, have you worked out about how much time it takes? I don't know if you have from start to finish. Obviously, there's many steps involved when it comes to finding each of those knit T-shirts and washing it, etc. I don't know if you've looked
cutting
at
them apart,
cutting it apart, and then piecing together exactly which pieces are going to work together, and all
so the
of
twirly
that.
ones are, of course, take a lot more time. Yeah, anything that's a lot of piecing or like kind of more detailed, like I really have to focus on the piece work, are going to be pricier.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to be kind of relative to how much time I did spend on it.
The prices, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know how many hours on average it might take?
For one piece?
Yeah, for for a regular dress.
I would never work for over an hour on a piece.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So it takes under an hour to make one.
Yeah. I think most of my time is just pouring through stacks and trying to find the right pieces, or I can deliberate over trims and then deciding what size, even like the starting point, what size is this going to be.
But the cutting and the sewing part of it is under an hour, is what you're saying?
Yeah, the actual sewing and cutting, assembling is not so much. It's just the actual grabbing all the pieces that I want in it.
And how much of your average day are you actually sewing, and how much of your average day, sort of like break down for us kind of what your average day is really spent on now that you're full-time in your business? Mm-hmm. I think people are always curious, like, what does it really look like?
Right. And most of the time I wonder where the time went. And I am not really like an organized scheduling person at all. So it's kind of when I have the time to devote to it. So I also take photographs according to daylight. So most of my photos are going to be out in the morning or before the sun goes down. So I have to finish things by that point. The other thing is to target when I'm feeling like sewing or creating, because sometimes I just don't really feel like it. So then I'll try to allocate time to computer, making photoshopping or listing items or doing shipping.
Right. I actually think that's really an important point, which is to say this is a creative field and a creative occupation. And you can't necessarily say to yourself, well, I'm going to make the product every day from 9 to 1.
Right. I can't say that I wake up and I have to finish 5 dresses today. That would not happen. I mean, it could happen, but
they might not be very good.
It would. No, they wouldn't be probably my favorite works. And then my neck would probably hurt.
Yeah.
Just being hunched over.
Yeah. And it kind of kills the joy of it. Like, in order for you to really enjoy it and to feel proud of the finished pieces, you have to have that feeling of like, I really want to work on this right now because I have because I have a really good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You have.
So when people really tell me that, I want this one, then I'm like, I can't. I'm like, I don't want to. I'm like, I already made it. I don't want to revisit it.
Yes. That's always been my issue with commission work. Is that I don't want to make somebody else's idea. And so I've never really been great at that. Because I just want to do my own idea. And so, yeah, that's always been hard. Okay. And so, and then the rest of the time you're sort of on the computer. Would you say that more of your time is spent computer stuff or more of your time is spent sewing stuff?
I feel like I'm snacking constantly.
Most of my time spent snacking.
Which is also computer time. I actually probably try not to sit here too much. Yeah. When I'm working on the emails, then I do seem to sit for longer periods of time, but I try to save that for evenings when it's dark and I can't see all my fabrics so well.
Mm-hmm. And have you thought about getting help? Do you have anybody who helps you on anything, whether it's like, outsource kind of stuff for the computer stuff, or cutting, sewing? Obviously, your parents help you with the thrifting, but anything else?
Yeah, I've thought about it, but never have gotten into actually looking. I would say in that in that aspect, I probably am more controlling or think it's, faster if I just do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know where everything is. I also do think that since everything is one of a kind, it adds another dimension of confusion to everything. Like even, where I've put the item after it's done.
Right.
Like maybe I'm just messy.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just disorganized.
It's interesting. I another episode of this podcast, I spoke with Jess Brown, and she makes handmade dolls.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of somewhat comparable in that they're all one of a kind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same pattern for the doll, but they're all different. Each one's different. And she was all working alone, and then met somebody who told her, you need help, and sort of insisted that she hire her to help her.
Okay.
And they really scaled the business. And now she's got lots of help and has like an outside studio space with many helpers, and which is a very different path. And and it's really fascinating to think about sort of the options there and how they made that work, and relinquishing that level of control over a business that is handmade still. Every doll is made by hand, but then they're able to sell to, a place like Land of Nod, or, big retailers, because they've got enough people to sew for them, to be able to do that, to sell one-of-a-kind items to a big retailer, to, Anthropologie or something like that. So
that would be a great thing. And every once in a while, I'm like, I'm really going to, sit down and, plan this out, but I'm still gathering all my ideas of, which parts I would like to.
And I don't know if you can do that too with an upcycled product.
No.
Because there's regulations, right, with kids. Fibers, right? It's sort of like what do you know a lot about that? Sort of what kids can wear?
There was a while back where there was issues with, getting like no lead certified.
Yeah.
But I don't really know what happened with that. I just know I had to, mark on each item so that people could track back to, who made or where it was made.
Okay. So do you have like a special tag for that?
Yeah, it just says, how to care for it. I mean, I write that it's recycled fibers, so some are unknown. Yeah. And if they needed to track me down, then they could.
Right. So people can find you and know where it came from. Mm-hmm. I see. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know whether, what the limitations are then as far as scaling something like that. That's a great question.
Yeah. And then when I think of, even if I were to pick a dress to replicate, the idea of that doesn't seem that great to me.
No, absolutely not. Wanting to replicate one single thing certainly wouldn't be.
In different sizes. Yeah.
Right. No, that's not at all Courtney. The point of it is that everyone is different. And so you can't get that same one again. Totally. Yeah. And you wouldn't want to change that because that would change everything. So yeah, totally. Just these bigger questions are interesting to think about. So do you have anything coming up that you want to talk about before we get to your recommendations, or you just kind of keep on keeping on along the same path?
Yeah, back to the collaborations.
Yeah.
So I've been working with this t-shirt company. Also, they're actually from like the high school next to mine in Virginia. And so they will send me, it's called Blackbird Supply.
Oh, yeah.
And so they will send me their prints. And so there actually are some Halloween ones coming up soon. So pretty excited about that.
So when you say they'll send you their prints, are these t-shirts that are sort of seconds, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So that's something I would really love to get more into is, t-shirt companies that if they have pieces they can't sell, they're misprints or just, defective t-shirts. Those are fabulous to work with. And, these are just also great prints. A lot of them are, based on wanderlust and camping and travel.
Yeah, and then you can make them into dresses and other stuff like that. That's a great point. And if any t-shirt companies are out there listening, or people know of t-shirt companies who might be a good fit, because their prints, lend themselves especially well to girls' dresses, but have seconds that, and that end up either being sort of recycled or put in a landfill. This would be a really great collaboration partnership with Courtney Courtney to come out with a really special line to upcycle them into something really neat. So get in touch, right?
And maybe you'll see them in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, you'll see them all over the world being worn by awesome young people. So, all right, well that's pretty cool. And I saw a couple of those from Blackbird on your site. So that's really neat. So check out some Halloween ones around the corner. And you've got some neat recommendations, totally out of textiles and garments, some things off the on totally different topics. So Casey Musgrave's music. So tell us a little bit about that.
Technically, she's a country singer, but yeah, you should definitely check her out and her videos. She's just, I guess, a little more progressive, and there's a lot of puns in her music. It's just like cute and glittery and enjoyable.
Okay, lovely. And some Sean Baker films.
I watched The Florida Project this year, and it was like probably my favorite movie.
I haven't seen it. What is it about?
Yeah, these are not kid friendly so much.
Okay.
But they're very, gritty, and the perspectives are really interesting, and I do like more gritty films. And then I'll watch movies over and over again while I'm working.
Is that mostly what you do while you're working, is watch movies?
Yeah, a lot of Netflix and I guess Amazon. And also I need to have movies and TV shows on that I'm not getting sucked into watching, actually. So a lot of it is listening.
Right. Yeah, that's why I listen to podcasts. I have to have something on as well while I'm working, because otherwise I make excuses to get up and go do something else. So, yeah, okay. And the Wall Street Journal, that's your last one.
Yeah, I mean, they cover a lot of topics, but they do also, I do like to read about fashion and, the industry and seeing what people, are buying around the world, and what's not doing well. I guess I like reading about shopping malls failing and, big box stores. And because, I mean, it all is relative into what clothing people are buying online and how they're getting it. I mean, yeah, what they're selecting according to season or, where they live.
So do you feel like you try to keep up on kind of fashion trends?
I do. I like reading about, what's really popular, and especially, which is boggling me more, is the younger generations and their habits with their everything is online or on their phones, especially.
Yeah.
So I feel kind of lost sometimes with like Snapchat, or I can't figure it out.
Me neither.
So it's been interesting to read about personalities that have gotten really famous on YouTube or Instagram.
Right.
And that really does dictate a lot of fashion and trends.
Yeah.
Because, the parents will want to share, obviously photos of their children wearing great clothing and, unique spots and be admired. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Right.
But it definitely has, influenced fashion.
Yeah, for sure. Totally. So keeping up with all of that's important to a brand like yours, so that you're sort of in the know about what's coming next. Yeah. Because it's easy to sort of be complacent and let these things keep going and not keep on top of it. And then before you know it, you're sort of out of touch, which is scary.
In my stacks of fabric.
Right. Hidden behind all of your T-shirts. Yeah, totally. Well, Courtney, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the While She Naps podcast. I really enjoyed talking to you and getting to know you a little bit.
Yeah, I'm glad to talk to you after seeing your name and email. a decade ago.
Yeah, it was really great. So you've been listening to the While She Naps podcast. I'm Abby Glassenberg. Visit my blog, whileshenaps.com, where you can sign up for my email newsletter to get the best in sewing, blogging, and small business delivered right to your inbox each week. Thanks to Indigo Junction for sponsoring today's podcast. Designs include purses, aprons, holiday decor, and more. Be sure to visit Indigo Junction's blog for giveaways, as well as inspiration, videos, and tutorials. Join the Indigo Junction Sewing Pattern Facebook group community of creative spirits sewing and sharing Indigo Junction patterns. Sign up for Indigo Junction's newsletter to receive a 20% off coupon code. Thank you so much, Indigo Junction. And if you enjoy the show, tell a friend about it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.